My mom used to have seizures all the time, which was really freaky, but I learned a lot about seizures, so if you have seizures around me, you're good. I got you. I know what to do. Even when I was in foster care, my mom would have seizures, and then after she'd get released from the hospital, she'd stop by my foster parents' house and be like, oh, I had a seizure, and they'd have a conversation, and even those conversations I vaguely remember. When I go back into my past and I start going through all this stuff, I really don't remember a lot of it. I do remember major events, but there's a lot of it that I actually forgot. I know I ended up getting placed into this home a couple of different times, but again, I don't remember how many different times. So this is kind of funny to me. They say that it takes about 30 days for the average person to get lettuce out of their system, right? I googled how many times does the average person go to the bathroom in a day or in a month. I actually don't remember the number that it came up with. I want to say it was 156 times. So what I did was when I was in foster care, I used to slam water, would pee, and I would mark every single time that I would pee. Managed to pee that amount of times in 2 weeks. So then I knew that my UA was going to be clean. So I went and I peed for them and I was clean. Funny thing was, I also played basketball. I loved basketball, but I screwed that all up because I felt like lettuce was more important. After I got out of practice, I had to take another UA, which then that was dirty, but I actually wasn't smoking. And they didn't believe me. My treatment counselor did not believe me. And if you do the research, it stores in your fat cells. So if you sweat, you may sweat some more of it out. What was something that was really frustrating for me was having somebody be in control of you. They didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And it didn't matter what proof I brought, because I was just a kid. The day on Thanksgiving that I got arrested, actually in foster care, and by the end of that school day, I was supposed to go home with my parents home. I left school, I think at like 2 something, school got out at 3:10. So I left school like an hour early because my mom came to school and said, I had a seizure, I need to go to the hospital. So I brought her to the freaking hospital. They sat there, they admitted her, and we were back in the hospital, so the phone service wasn't going through. When I went out to the car to check the phone, it was my probation officer, and she's like, where you at? There's a warrant out for your arrest, blah, 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 blah. You're gonna get arrested. I'm like, I'm at the hospital with my mom, she had a seizure. They're gonna admit her there, and she's like, we're coming to get you, and you're going to JDC. JDC is Juvenile Detention Center. And I'll be 1000% honest with you, I would rather sit 16 years in jail than spend 1 day in JDC. They locked me down for 23 hours in a little tiny room that looked like a Jesus block because it was all cement with one blue mat. It was filthy, and you had one of those little church windows out there that you couldn't actually see out. Fair enough, it's JDC, understood. They covered the flap for the front window so you couldn't see out. You have a metal desk in this. There's boogers, there's stuff. It's filthy in there. They don't even clean it. They don't give you anything to clean it either. The thing they gave me was books, and I had to sit in there for 23 hours. I only got out for a half an hour for lunch or supper, but it alternated because the boys were on the other side. There was a huge punching bag there, and we couldn't even punch it because that was aggression. They wouldn't let me talk to anybody for 24 hours, and I asked them if I could just go back to my foster parents' home, even though I should have been able to go back home. They said no. I sat that entire weekend, and then I think it was Monday, I had to go to court, and then they let me out. And I always feel really bad for my dad, because my dad had to go get my mom from the psych ward, and then he had to go to court for me, and he still had to go to college, and he still had to work. They never made me feel safe enough to be able to open up and tell them what was going on. You can't continuously punish people without ever listening to them.